Give us your verdict on what you've seen from Manchester United today.
I mean, I think it's a small step forward. I think before the game, if you'd offered any Manchester United fan, probably player and coach, a draw, then they would have snapped your hand off. And I think that's where, at the end of the game, Erik ten Hag's interview, I think there was an element of relief because he obviously just keeps the Wolves at bay for a couple of weeks. I think gives him a little bit more time. I don't think that anybody that thought that there was going to be a sort of major incident after today's game thought it would happen with a draw. They always thought it would need to be another difficult day, another difficult defeat like it was last weekend against Tottenham. So I think it buys a little bit of time, but it's Manchester United's worst start in Premier League history. So I mean, we can't really over-celebrate. I'm speaking here as obviously someone who's on Sky as a pundit, but also as a United fan, when we're thinking that actually it's a decent point when you draw at a Villa. That tells you how far Villa have come, but it also tells you how low the bar is for Manchester United at this moment in time.
Yeah, and I suppose particularly concerning is this staggering lack of goals. What is it, 7 games into the season? Is that the first point that needs to be addressed?
Yeah, but when you rely upon moments, which obviously, Dave, we've talked about this now for 2 years, you rely upon moments, what you end up happening with is if players go into a little bit of a dip in form or you have injuries, obviously Højlund's been injured, Rashford's had a dip in form, Bruno's going through a rare sort of difficult patch for him when it comes to goals. So then you end up in a situation whereby you haven't got the patterns of play, you haven't got the sort of, if you like, the combinations to rely upon that can maybe get people goals. And I don't think Manchester United also they're not very good on set pieces either. So that's the problem. You know, you play in moments, you end up, if players lose form, you don't score in moments, and that's exactly what's happening at this moment in time. Manchester United have somehow got to find a way of playing where patterns develop and people are telepathic and they make the runs without even knowing, and it doesn't happen. I mean, the front four of United today, Garnacho, Rashford, Højlund and Fernandes, is a front four that a lot of, I think, top teams would look at and think, that's not a bad top four, it's not a bad front line, yet it doesn't look dangerous at all as a combination. I always think of the front three that played for Liverpool, Salah, Firmino, Mane. They played in combination, they played together, they were close to each other at times. United's front four, to be fair, I don't think connect with each other at any point in the game. The front two for Villa, Rodgers and Watkins, they combine with each other, they play with each other on the pitch, they know what each other's going to do. United just don't have that.
So where does this then leave, Gary, the conversation around the manager Erik ten Hag? This pressure has been building all the way from the summer to this tricky start to the season. Playing this game out today in front of all the United hierarchy, what conclusions do you think they go away with?
They definitely won't want to do anything, Dave, this season, and I think I've said that before. No club wants to sack a manager during a season because it's not only a reflection upon the manager, it's a reflection upon them. Even though, obviously, Ineos have only come into the club in the last few months from a point of view of actually taking control of the football side, and Dan Ashworth and Omar Barada have only been in the club for a couple of months. So you can't really sort of land the blame at the door. They're going to need 2 or 3 years, 4 years to try and sort this out. But obviously the club did make the decision to keep Erik ten Hag in the summer, and they don't want to have to basically reverse that decision after only 6 or 7 games. So they've just got to hope in this next couple of weeks, through maybe a reset, maybe some sort of thinking time, some planning. Obviously with Manchester United fans, coaches, players have talked about this new structure that surrounds Erik ten Hag. It needs to go to work quite quickly in this next few weeks, because I think if the next international break comes around and Manchester United are still in that sort of 13th, 14th position in the league, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure building. So the next few weeks are critical in making sure that they can somehow get some momentum for the rest of the season so that Erik ten Hag can keep his job, because no United fan wants to see Erik ten Hag lose his job either. That's just, again, feels like we're on a roundabout, just spinning the same way as we have done for the last 10, 12 years.
He was bullish, wasn't he? As you've already referenced, perhaps admirably so after the game. But like you say, it does feel like we are going to go month to month with him. The bigger picture, Gary, is around Manchester United as a club and their progress. They're 14th right now, regardless of who the coach is. How do you see them making headway? So again, we're talking about a side challenging for Champions League football again as a starting point. I mean,
I thought they would be challenging for Champions League football this season. Obviously, naively, it looks like at this moment in time. But to be 14th, I mean, that just can't happen. You know, it can't continue that they can stay in 14th without repercussion. It's unforgivable with the money spent. the investment in the squad in the summer. Everyone regarded Manchester United's transfer market as being smooth, and it was a lot smoother than had happened in previous years. You didn't see the failing to get targets, and you also saw players coming in without a lot of fuss, which was welcomed by everybody. But since the start of the season, Eric Ten Hag's got no excuses now. All the players are fit. The players are all there on the pitch. They're his players. I mean, you look at today, he's had to revert to Harry Maguire, obviously, maybe we thought was leaving United 18 months ago, and Johnny Evans, who's obviously getting on in years, and his first choice partnership of De Ligt and Martinez, were on the bench. I know that obviously De Ligt came on, but they were the players that were supposed to get Manchester United up the pitch, play that higher line, be more aggressive, get that style implemented that Eric Ten Hag wanted to implement when he first came to United. We seem to be going one step forward and two steps back, and to be fair, at this moment in time, it's a real struggle. How you even look at Champions League at this moment in time, you can't. And that's a problem for Ineos. I think that in terms of the PSR and the sustainability, the financial rules, United are right on the edge. So they've got to try and bring extra revenues in at this moment in time, and not being in the Champions League causes them a big problem in more ways than one. The best teams, you can almost close your eyes and open, you'd know who they were because of the patterns of play and the way in which they connect with each other. There are no combinations with Manchester United that mean that you're always wondering what pass is next, as if they make up each pass as it goes along, and if it ends up at a talented player, they may score, they may not, they may do something, may not. And it's just so inconsistent.
So how does that change, Gary?
Sometimes they've had the injuries back, and so he has made. But he makes a lot of changes in each area of the pitch, each unit of the pitch. The centre-backs we've seen, the two midfield players, the forwards, the wide players. How do you build a relationship up if you're right back in the right winger is changing week in, week out?
No, I mean, there are a couple of relationships over the last few years that you may say were built up. I think when Luke Shaw was fit with Rashford on that left-hand side, they sort of looked like a pair that could play together. But it's very rare that you see Manchester United pick the same team week in, week out. He changes the system and team within the actual game. And look, it's disappointed. Look, this has been chronic for 10 years at Manchester United. They've spent £650 million under Eric Ten Hag over 2.5 years, and we still really don't know what type of team they are. And we're happy today because they got a point away at Villa. That tells you how far Villa have come in this last, obviously, 12 months or so under Unai Emery. But it's a stepping stone, so at least it's a small step for Manchester United, because I was expecting them to get beat.
Well, they might have problems scoring goals, but only Liverpool have kept more clean sheets this season than Manchester United. And you've played with him second time round. You know what he's like. Is it important to have the way he speaks there and knowing the club long affiliation with it, to have a little bit of that? They've lost McTominay, still in and around that dressing room.
Yeah, I think it is, and we're just saying now that Johnny knows the way of Manchester United. 36 years of age, I think he is, and you got to give him every credit. He was good today. There's just something that feels a little bit wrong about it to me, to have a player who's come back after so long. He just came to train with the team really to keep fit, and another year later he's Manchester United's best centre half. That tells you that something isn't quite right. And look, Man United are 14th in the Premier League, so that also tells you something is not quite right. But I do agree with that. I think they were a lot better organised today. They look more difficult to play against, more difficult to break through, which usually happens. It's normally quite wide open. But Mainu, and I thought Eriksen next to him as well, gave him a really solid platform. But I also think they were helped by Villa's game on Wednesday. I think it was a little bit of a flat game from Aston Villa. And as I said before, I think United just tried to survive in the game. He also said there as well, we were organised, compact, and just hoping we could get a goal on the counter-attack, which you Manchester United, you think you'd have a little bit more than that, a little bit more.
You don't like to hear that, do you, from a United player?
No, a bit of hope, yeah, but that's where we're at with Man United at the minute. That's why they're 14th in the Premier League, because they're not good enough to put the full package together. Let's say they can do one thing and maybe be gung-ho and create chances, not always take the chances, or they can sit back like they have done today and just try and survive in the game and try and hope that something will happen on the counter-attack, or they get a free kick with Bruno hitting the bar.
From a managerial point of view, in United's current state today, has Johnny Evans helped with that experience, that know-how of the club?
Yeah, from Ten Hag's point of view, he certainly has, but like, it's game to day, game to game, which it shouldn't be. We saw Sir Jim Ratcliffe up there, Jason Wilcott's up there. Dan Ashworth's got to make a decision. He's going to live game to game as a Man United manager. Shouldn't be the case. Should be a plan going forward. You're going regressing.
Eric Ten Hag keeps telling us there is, and it's calm behind the scenes, and everyone's
stick
on
to the
same
plan,
page.
he says. But I would say to him, what is the plan? And I'm sure the managers don't know the plan. If we know the plan, we can stick to it. But give us a clue what the plan is. You've been there two years. You know, you've not been there 5 minutes. You keep saying, judge me at the end of the season. I wish we all could say that as manager. Judge me at the end of the season. Maybe I wouldn't be sitting here. You know,
we'd miss you.
Unfortunately, you don't get that time, and certainly not as a Man United manager. Reality is, as a football manager, you win football matches or you get yourself sacked, and you take the brunt of the criticism. That's part and parcel of the job. We can all moan about it, and we can all have self-preservation interviews and try and protect ourselves and blame injuries. And he signed 16 players, Steve. He spent gazillions of pounds. 7 of the 9 substitutes are his signings today. You know, big money signings. Some of them never got a kick at a football. 5 of the starting 11 are his signings. That is his squad. Show us something different. And rely on me going back to Johnny Evans, a 40-year-old centre-half.
36, just to quantify.
He looks 40 today. After the game, he looks 40. Is that all he is?
36.
No, he's a young man. I mean, I think it's disrespectful we keep talking about his age. I mean, he done well there today. I mean, he marshalled there. I mean, I think Watkins would have got more of a kick at the ball if De Ligt was playing against him today. You know, and what I've seen from De Ligt, all right, he's got to settle into the Premier League. But stop all the excuses. He's got to settle. He's got the injuries. It's not my squad. Yes, it is your squad. You haven't got the injuries as much now. Everyone picks up injuries. We see with Aston Villa. Start performing. Start showing us a plan. Keeps talking about the plan. Show us the plan. And then we know if it's progression. We don't see any progression. Sometimes, like, let's use Jurgen Klopp. I know it's a rival of Manchester United. When he first came, it didn't happen for him straight away at Liverpool, but we could see there was a playing style of what he wanted to do, and the implementation was easy, and the signings were being brought in as Jurgen Klopp players. We could see it. It was clear. It's like, say it again, it's very difficult to scout for Manchester United because you don't know how the manager wants to play. Almost an impossible job to recruit, as it's being shown. You talked about not scoring goals. Yeah, they haven't won a game in 5 there. That's not Manchester United. They're 14th in the league. Yeah, you can stop. It's a team stopping getting relegation to keep clean sheets. That's what they do, getting numbers behind the ball and work hard and try and keep a clean sheet, and Arno relying on him. You don't score goals because you're not creating enough. And also, you haven't got enough centre-forwards. They've got 1 centre-forward at the football club. Xerxes is not a centre-forward. I don't know what he is at the moment. Hoyland's a centre-forward. He's had injuries. He's coming back in. But he's not the answer. If you cannot produce a Hoyland in your academy, then you need to close your academy, in my opinion. He's not top draw. He's not Manchester United. Where are the days when they're still spending the money, by the way? Where are the days when Manchester United Football Club went to Tottenham and say, we're taking your best player, Harry Kane. We're going to know where. They did it time and time again. They took Michael Carrick, they took Berbatov, took Teddy Sheringham. You know, not only Tottenham, but all the top clubs, they're not at that level.
Got over it, Tim, anyway, so.
They're not, they're not there at the moment, Steve. It's just living, we go back to it. Where we started this conversation was living game to game. You can't live game to game as a Man United football club. Them owners need to look at that, and they need to make a decision.
That's where they're at, Paul, isn't it? They are at a week-to-week, game-to-game situation at the moment.
Yes, because they're not performing. I think Tim's right. I think in forward areas especially, I just don't think the quality's there. We go back to the most successful teams, they're capable of scoring goals. What we scored, 5 goals now, maybe?
Only Southampton, fewer.
5 goals in 7 games, whatever it may be. Now, we had 3 or 4 forwards who could get you 20 goals. So you're looking at 80 goals a season there. I just don't see that in the forward line of Manchester. Look, Hoyland does all right, but is he going to score you 20 goals? I don't think so. Xerxes, as Tim said, what is he? Is he a number 9? Is he a number 10? Is he going to get you 20 goals? I don't think so. I think they're relying more on hope than actual proven quality. And as Tim said, they spent so much money as well. It's a ridiculous amount of money, and some of them can't get in the team. You think of Ugarte coming into the club, he was supposed to change the way the midfield was. He didn't play him. De Ligt, 50 million. Was it 50 million? Didn't play him. Johnny Evans is coming in as a 36-year-old instead of him. Martinez, he brought him into the club. What's he thinking today? Johnny Evans is playing. Maguire started.
Even Lindelof came on.
Well, that's what I was saying. Maguire started. Lindelof comes on before him. It's just a mess of a recruitment mess, really. But as Tim said, when you don't know don't have a style of play, you don't know how to play, or the way you want to play, it's very difficult to choose players. Like Liverpool's was quite simple to buy for, because you know what they're going to do. The 4-3-3, you can recruit for that. But when you don't have a style of play, you don't know how you're going to play. It changes from week to week. You just almost throw in balls in the air and say, yeah, he looks a good player, we'll try and get him. But
he knows a lot of them.
Yeah. He's had a lot of them at Ajax, but the quality's different. This isn't Holland.
The game's different.
He's got the best in Holland, of course, but in the Premier League, the best in Holland isn't good enough for England.
Don Johnny, you just get the feeling he relishes every single second of it while it continues. Bruno almost stole the Player of the Match award from him today. If that free kick had just dropped a couple of inches lower.
I mean, I'm trying to find the right words here because everybody on the pitch today should be ashamed, because Johnny Evans, credit to him, he's 36, 37 and he's man of the match. So everybody younger than him should take notice and just, I don't know, next time be better. Other than that, the best highlights of the game is the 93rd minutes here, this chance, probably.
Yeah, that's the closest, Steve, that either side really came to scoring, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, look, it was, as we said there, from a Villa point of view, the hangover from the other night, they looked quite tired. But from a Manchester United point of view, positive steps defensively. And then this was the last chance, well, the last break for United, Les.
And this probably sums up the game. You know, Garnacho's gone through and you're thinking, just square it. Fernandes gets on the end of this and, you know, he hits the first man, and that probably summed up the way the game went today. Well, you know, both teams were lacking in that final third. You know, huffed and puffed, but couldn't blow the house down.
Does this take away some of the criticism from the manager? A lot of pressure on him going into this game today, Dimitar.
I think the criticism will continue to grow because United need to win to get the points. They're 14 in the table, which is unbelievable. I mean, the only thing to correct it is getting the points. But with the way they're playing at the moment, that's going to be hard to do.
He said at the start of the season, it's going to be a slow start for Manchester United. I don't believe he thought it was going to be as slow as this. After every interview, he keeps saying, Man United, we need to improve, we need to improve, we need to improve. And we keep sitting there and seeing Manchester United not improving. You're starting to think, when's it going to happen?
That's improvement, isn't it? And Aston Villa?
Not enough. Not enough for Man United.
They are 14th, as Dimitar says. We will talk more about Manchester United later on. I know you've got a...
What do you make of what Erik ten Hag had to say, Jamie?
Well, look, he's, you know, fair play to him. He's a manager of a football club and he's going to try and pick out the positives of the season so far. He says 4 clean sheets, which they've had, right? They're against Fulham, Palace, who can't score, who can't hit Barn Door at the minute, and Barnsley. All right, today, Aston Villa, you get a draw away from home, you know, and they didn't quite make it happen. But it's been the worst start to a Premier League season ever for Manchester United. And he's sitting there trying to say, well, we can take positives from it. There's no positives to take from Man United's season so far. They've got 8 points. I mean, they are miles off it. They played against the Villa side today, who, in my opinion, had a lull from a Champions League night.
They looked knackered, didn't they?
They looked knackered. They had a massive game against Bayern Munich, put everything into it. You know, the fans and everyone were behind it, and you see it so many times. You play at the weekend, and you have a dip in form, you have a dip in performance, and that's what I saw today. And you know, we were hoping or thinking that Unai Emery wouldn't allow that to happen, but it does happen. You see it so many times. You see it every season after Champions League nights. And Manchester United, they dug out a result and they got a draw. But we are talking about Manchester United here, one of the biggest teams, if not the biggest team in the world. And they picked up 8 points from the start of the season, and we're sitting here not talking about Erik ten Hag should be in a job. Like, it's not been good enough. They're nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near it. Chelsea manager comes in, brings in new signings, new players, new manager, and bang, they get off flying. We're 2 years down the line with Erik ten Hag, and he's still talking about a process and still talking about what they need to do and where they want to go. Well, I've not seen nothing in 2 years. Nothing in terms of them being a better club and moving forward. So we'll see. He's probably going to stay in a job. You know, he said that he's got the backing of the board. I guarantee you, we get to the next international break, we'll sit here and we'll say that we'll have the same conversation.
We'll book your taxi now. Will the United hierarchy be looking at clubs like Chelsea have appointed Enzo Maresca, and it's going very nicely, thank you, albeit they didn't win against a good Forest side today. And will they be thinking we could be doing better than Erik ten Hag?
I think, yeah. I think eventually, you know, the board will have to look at it and say, can we do better than what we've got right now? Who's that manager? Who's that guy to maybe take us in a different direction? Where do we want the club to go? You know, you've seen Sir Jim Ratcliffe come in, but they are, 14th in the table? Come on, you know, like they're... You know, it's not good enough. We're talking about Man United here, you know, and you're talking about start of a season where, you know, he was already under pressure and, you look, fair play to him, he won the FA Cup against the Man City side who didn't turn up on the day. But we were already having these conversations about, you know, Erik ten Hag. And we thought, benefit of the doubt, he's won the FA Cup, give him next season, let's see what happens. They're going to back him. But no one was convinced that we were going to see a different Man United. And it's exactly what we've seen. They got 8 points at the start of the 9 points last season. Now they've got 8 points. So they've got, you know, they've got worse. Right? They have not improved. And you judge a manager, they're not a cup team. It's Manchester United. They need to get back to challenging for the title. And they are a million miles away from that. Over a 38-game season, that's how you judge your team.
Final thoughts. First of all, on Manchester United, we're going to see Ten Hag after the international break, do you think?
Look, I don't think... If there was a manager out there that was ready to come in, you've got Nistelrooy, I'd make a change. It's the worst start to a Premier League season they've ever had. And he sits there and talks about we've had 4 clean sheets. We've also conceded 3 against Porto, 3 against Tottenham, 3 against Liverpool. You haven't been good enough. They're not good enough. Man United, to get to the level where they need to be, for me, is not going to be under Ten Hag. They can have another 5 games, and I guarantee you we'll be sat here in a month's time having the same conversation. But it's just whether they want to make that decision now. They've got a point today, a decent point away from home. I just don't see how this is going to carry on going forward with Ten Hag. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. The fortune's changing. If you said to me in 6 weeks' time, I'm going to see a Manchester United side playing really, really good football, confident, they all look like they want to be out there. Erik ten Hag on the side of the pitch with a bit of passion, and then, I'd say you're dreaming, because it ain't going to happen. We're going to see the same Man United performances that I've been seeing for the last 2 seasons.
Just a quick one on what he said about Rashford. He said one of the reasons he took Marcus Rashford off was he thought he might get a red card.
Yeah, look, Rashford doesn't look like he's enjoying his football, and he's a dangerous player for Man United. Had a couple of chances today, cuts inside, gets his shot away. You know, and I really like Rashford. I do. I think he's got so much potential to be, a top player, but his body language just doesn't seem to be right at Man United. I feel like he's always waiting to get taken off, and he gets frustrated. And look, he could have gone today, so the manager has to make that decision for the team.
There, obviously, because if we think back to obviously how all the fans felt after that Porto game and what the players are saying afterwards, felt like, if someone said to them that it'd be a draw on Sunday, I think they potentially would have took it. But when you see the opportunities that were there today, it does feel like an opportunity missed.
Yeah, exactly that. Coming into the game, was a bit nervous, thinking they're going to be playing like they did in the Champions League in the week, and it'd have been really, really tough for them. Not that it wasn't tough today, they worked really well, but I think Villa were off it, so it does feel like, you could have gone there and deserved to nick a winner.
I mean, we are taking this result into international break now. Despite us feeling that it could be an opportunity missed here to obviously grab a winner, at the same time to keep that clean sheet before international break as a confidence boost to that defensive line.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they'll be delighted. The goalkeeper, back four, they'll be delighted. Clean sheet, that's what it's all about for defenders and goalkeepers and whatever. Yeah, and the manager as well. With the speculation around his future, he's gone into now a 10-day break or whatever what it is, thinking everything's okay. That'll give me a little bit of a breather. Get together when they come back for the next league game, and 2 draws. You touched on the draw in midweek, which wasn't the best performance, coming from being 2-0 up and then finishing 3-3. But today at Villa, we expected a really more tougher test. Is that right, Fraser?
No, yeah, definitely.
And we didn't get it. I think, honestly, it's a chance missed today. But the manager will be delighted with a 0-0.
I mean, as we said, though, it's one of them. We spoke about squad depth, how important it was before this game, just to have some fresh legs in the mix before that international break too, and it's shown how useful obviously the substitutes were today as well to be involved.
Yeah, Lindelof, he's not played for a while. He came in at half-time or around the half-time, and he looked fine. He looked like he'd been playing for the start of the season. But it is good to see that players, when they're called upon, they come in, step in. Johnny Evans stepped in, did his role, perfectly today. But you need that in your squad.
You do. Now let's get some more reaction then. Let's hear from Sully and Luke Chadwick at Villa Park.
So, honours even. Chadders, your thoughts on the stalemate?
Yeah, I didn't think it was a brilliant game, but I think a good result. Obviously, coming to Aston Villa, done really well this season, off the back of a really good performance against Bayern Munich. And I think you could tell during the game that both teams had had really tough games during the week, but I think you come to Villa Park, in this day and age, you'll take a draw all day long.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad result at all, really, given the circumstance. I mean, most people coming into the game were predicting a Villa win, and some were predicting a handsome Villa win. So to show that fighting spirit, to show a bit of character, that resilience which we've spoken about is good.
Yeah, it was certainly a very low tempo game, like we said at half time. We didn't know if it might spring into life in the second half, but didn't really. Obviously Bruno's hit a fantastic free kick that if that goes in, it turns into a brilliant 3 points rather than the one. But I think you sort of dust yourself down, like got the draw with Harry's late goal during the week after a really poor performance against Spurs, and a point to point at the end of the day, and I think we'll take that and move on to the next game.
Defensively, we were challenged again with injuries affecting Eric's game plan at half-time. Harry Maguire had to be withdrawn with an injury. Mazraoui also went off. On comes Victor Lindelof and Matthias de Ligt. So a few concerns there for the manager in terms of his defence, yet again after insurmountable problems last season.
Yeah, it's uncanny really the amount of problems that we've had within that back four. Obviously 2 changes at half time. It doesn't really happen. You don't see that very often. But I think the shining light of today, without a shadow of a doubt, was Johnny Evans' performance at the back, rolling back the years, and was absolutely fantastic. A couple of marauders forward as well, where you thought maybe he'd nick the winner as well.
Yeah, I mean, there was a chance at the end from Eriksen's corner that Johnny got his head to, couldn't get it towards goal, but we were in the press box saying, go on Johnny, is he going to get it? It would have capped a fantastic day for him and for Manchester United. Elsewhere, looking around the pitch, there were a lot of sort of grafting performances without too much quality. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. I think both teams, the end product weren't great. We came under a little bit of pressure towards the end there, but Villa as well, the end product, the crosses were going out of play, and I think the work rate on a whole from United was good. You just need to have that extra bit of quality that's going to sort of pick the lock of the opposition's defence and get the goal. Nearly got it with Bruno, nearly with Marcus in the first half, but it wasn't to be to get that goal. But a clean sheet is a real positive after sort of shipping in 3 in the last couple of games.
Yeah, and minutes on the pitch again for Højlund. He was decent in the first half, got sort of frustrated in that second half, the first 15 minutes of it anyway, before he was subbed, because he couldn't really get into the game. That's probably testament to Villa. They had a bit more of the ball after the restart.
Yeah, and a lot of football for him, obviously coming back into the first start during the week and then starting again today. And it was always going to be a tough game against Villa. I think possession was quite shared. Both teams had the upper hand, but he didn't get into the game as much in the second half, and a lot of that was due to sort of Villa keeping the ball really well at times.
Yeah, international break next, so probably a good timing for that really, to sort of regroup, and then we go again. We play Brentford when we return at Old Trafford, so we look forward to that one next after the internationals.
Yeah, it's so important not to lose the game today. I think obviously like you say, going into that international break, it's a long international break when you get beat the game before. Yeah. Villa are a top Premier League team, and to get a point here it's not a bad result. Obviously Manchester United, you want to get 3 points in every game, but I think you take the draw, you have regroup during the international break and get back into it for Brentford.
Okay, we'll get some reaction here from Villa Park as soon as we can. For now,
better today from Manchester United?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it wasn't perfect. We didn't probably pass the ball as well, but we would have liked to, but we got a point against a good side, away from home, and the other night conceding 3 goals, we wanted to be a bit more, maybe defensive minded and make sure that we didn't concede to give ourselves a chance. And we're looking for maybe that one sort of moment of quality or counter attack. We nearly got at the end, but fair play to Villa. I thought they were a good team and they played well today.
Yeah, like you say, they are a good team, but defensively, did you feel pretty comfortable? There was a real late scare, wasn't there? But generally, pretty comfortable.
I think they've got good players, so you're never comfortable. And Ollie Watkins and playing on the shoulder, and he's aggressive, a very good player, so you've always got to be on your toes and ready, and we had to make it tight today and not try and give him too much space, and I think we did that well.
And do you have to I'll just have to word this right, but as the years tick by for you personally, do you have to adjust how you deal with players like Ollie Watkins when they're on the shoulder?
I don't think so. I still feel like I'll play the game I always have, and I just try and play my game, and I still feel like I've got a bit of speed in the legs to get me out of those moments. So while I've still got that and feel like I've got that, I'll just play the same way.
Look, I know you love putting your body on the line for this football club. What has this week been like, sort of pressed into service on Thursday night and then starting the game again today? I wonder when the manager told you.
I know he told me after the game the other night, but I think even the match against Porto, I wasn't expecting to come on at all. Victor's coming back from injury, back on the bench, and it's unlikely that you're ever going to make double centre back substitutions, should I say. But to come on, I just enjoy every moment I'm out on the pitch now, and every game I go into, I just get you just have that buzz for it. You really appreciate it, enjoy it, and try and make the most of it.
And I'm sure you'd be the first to say Manchester United, when things are going well, best club in the world to play for. But when it's like how it's been,
still is.
Still.
Yeah, I mean, it's a privilege to play for this club, and I've had a long affiliation with it. So for me, there's no other answer to that. And I think that with the pressures that come with it, it's also it's a part of it, and it's a privilege too. And you can see the fans, at the end there, the way they travel, and the support that they've given the team. I have to say, they have supported the players massively over the years, and it's great to see, and all the love that they give us.
Yeah, and talking of those pressures, credit to the manager today, the performance he got out of you, the way he set you up to get a result at a really tough place.
Yeah, and it was great for him to see that. He was, the other night, he got a bit. You could see it on him. The emotion of letting that game sort of slip away, and how big a game it was. So, to go out there and sort of put in a performance for him. You could see that everyone was, running themselves into the ground, and was able to make the substitution to bring lads on to freshen it up. And I'm pleased for him that he got a half decent result today.
So one last thing to do. You were saying off camera, this is the first one you've ever won, you think?
I think it might be the second, and Bruno donated one to me last season, so 3.
Well done. Johnny Evans, player of the match.
Thank you very much.
Well played.
Cheers.
Thanks, Brad. So we are back now and hopefully getting plenty more reaction. But now let's hear from the manager, Erik ten Hag.
Eric, your side has suffered a bit of criticism of late, but did that again show that character and that fight and spirit that you have in that dressing room?
And not only in the dressing room, we are all there with the ownership, with the leadership, with the staff, with the players. We are all on board and on one page. We are fighting together, and we are in the process, and in some areas we do things really well, like we have 4 clean sheets, we defend really well as a team. We had to step up defending also counter-attacks, and we make a next step. We're creating chances from nice constructions. Now we have to finish more. If you want to win games, you have to score more goals.
Yeah, you faced a dangerous side today, but really limited their chances. Does that show how well you defend as a team?
Absolutely. And then also you get some luck in the end on board when you get that big chance back post, but it was almost the only chance we allow the opponent. So we want to limit it to 0. That is our target, but it will never going to happen. And on the other side also we have to score more goals, because we created the chances again, but we don't score.
You might have had a little bit of luck on that back post chance, which Dalot deflected wide, but you had some bad luck having to replace 2 defenders at half-time. What's the latest on Mazraoui and Maguire?
We have to assess this. I can't tell now what the issue is, and I know what the issue is, but how good or bad it is, we have to assess this tomorrow, and then we will bring the news.
Just finally then, international break up next. The time to again regroup, get the players back up to speed. I know they go away with their internationals when you'll be watching. Hopefully they don't come back with an injury, but that time to reflect and go again when Brentford visit Old Trafford.
Yes, of course. We have to reflect on this period, but I think it's quite clear. We lost 1 game, but there was a game where we are playing for more than a half with 10 players because they sent off. And in all the other games, I think we got a result, but we have to improve our scoring abilities, because when you don't score, then yeah, it's difficult to win games. That's clear.
Thanks, boss.
You're welcome.
Gary Neville has already made Erik ten Hag prediction after Jim Ratcliffe's worst decision. Manchester United avoided defeat against Aston Villa on Sunday afternoon, but the future of manager Erik ten Hag continues to be debated after a tough start to the season. Gary Neville wouldn't be surprised to see Manchester United take stock of Erik ten Hag's position during the international break, though the Red Devils avoided the kind of performance at Aston Villa which might have forced the hand of co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe. United had conceded 3 times in each of their 2 previous outings, but kept Villa at bay in their goalless draw on Sunday. It was a game of few big chances, with Bruno Fernandes coming closest when he hit the bar with a free kick. In the lead-up to the game, Ratcliffe stopped short of giving the manager his full backing. This was despite ten Hag earning a contract extension over the summer. Jamie Carragher slammed that decision to keep faith with the former Ajax boss, calling it one of the worst decisions made by the United hierarchy. However, Neville suggested the owners may well keep faith with the boss in the hope they can sum through their sticky spell. I think we all know that obviously clubs do reassess during international breaks, and I think what's happened in the last week, Neville told Sky Sports before the Villa game. Anyone who was in Old Trafford last week for the defeat against Tottenham, I don't think you even need to be in the stadium to recognise that it felt like a monumental day. When asked about Ratcliffe's midweek comments, he added it didn't surprise me. I think if you went to Liverpool owners FSG and John Henry was doing an interview over in America and said who would be sacking the Liverpool manager, I think he'd say I'd leave it to my football department on the ground. It will be Dan Ashworth, it will be Omar Barada, supported by Jason Wilcox. They'll make the decision or recommendation on ten Hag, and then it will be Joel Glazer, Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford who are on that sporting committee at the top of the club who will validate it. But one thing's for certain, when you speak to people around the club, they don't want to make that decision, Neville added. They want to try and be different and get through this difficult time. It is their first time in this situation, and they've got a lot of evidence over the last 10 years of how to do it and how not to do it, and I suppose at this moment in time they'll want to try and make their own decision based upon what they're thinking. United's return of 8 points from 7 games is their lowest at this stage of any Premier League season. The draw at Villa Park means they go into the international break sitting in the bottom half of the Premier League table, and Ten Hag was asked by Sky Sports about his conversations with the club's higher-ups. "We always speak, every week we speak," he said. "We are all on board together, on one page, we know what we are working through, it's a long-term process. We have come through 2 very tough away games. This is a team, we showed the belief and faith we have." Manchester United struggled once again as they travelled to Aston Villa, with a goalless draw in the Midlands leaving Erik ten Hag's side sitting a lowly 14th in the Premier League. Manchester United icon Dimitar Berbatov has insisted the current crop of Red Devils players should feel ashamed after they were outshone by 36-year-old Johnny Evans. Evans started the trip to Aston Villa alongside Harry Maguire at centre-back and put in an assured performance. The Northern Irishman returned to Old Trafford last summer in the expectation he would be able to gain coaching experience. But he has been called upon more often than expected as boss Erik ten Hag battles to save his job. With first-choice pairing Matthijs de Ligt and Lisandro Martinez both struggling to perform, Evans was elevated to the starting lineup at Villa Park. The veteran impressed, even as his teammates again failed to live up to their potential. And Berbatov has made it clear that much more is expected of United players, with Evans the one Red Devils star who can hold their head high after Sunday's draw. I am trying to find the right words here. Everybody on the pitch today should be ashamed because Johnny Evans is man of the match. Credit to him, he is 36. But everybody younger than him, next time, be better, Berbatov told Sky Sports. I think the criticism will continue to grow because United need to win to get the points. They are 14th in the table, which is unbelievable. The only thing to correct is getting the points, but with the way they are playing at the moment that will be hard. United now sit 14th in the Premier League table, heading into the second international break of the season. Their awful form has left beleaguered boss Ten Hag fighting to save his job at Old Trafford. United's controlling co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe was in attendance at Villa Park on Sunday. But Ten Hag has insisted he is not worried about his future and is instead confident Ratcliffe will keep him in charge. We always speak, every week we speak. We are all on board together, on one page, we know what we are working through, it's a long-term process. We have come through 2 very tough away games, he told Sky Sports. This is a team, we showed the belief and faith we have. I think it's the 4th clean sheet this season. You see, we had a very good organisation and togetherness. There was good character and good spirit as a team. Determined, resilient. We almost didn't concede a chance. When you defend like this and get some luck, in the end they had a big chance, but it was almost the only chance, I think. We created some chances, also not so many chances. But the 2 teams were really balanced. We know in this moment we have a lack of goals. In that perspective it's not a good start, we have to step up. That's an area we have to improve. But we have 4 clean sheets. That's good because we have to defend proper.